What's up, guys? I'm Bob Tompkins with the Living in SC team at Real Broker, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode of Living in SC, we're going to walk through an end of the year housing market update for the state of South Carolina. And to do so, we're going to walk through a couple different markets in the state to see what those housing markets look like. Now, that being said, it is important to recognize going into this video that every market is a little bit different, even throughout the state. I know we're going to hit a few different in a few different regions, but there could be nuance to every market in the state, so please keep that in mind. Also, if you're thinking about making a move to the state of South Carolina, or if you want to sell a house within the state, we would love to be a resource for you here at the Living in SC team at Real Broker. So please reach out to us at info@livinginsc.com or shoot us a text at the number listed below, and we'd love to connect with you and be a resource for you. But without any further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I think there's been a general consensus in the real estate market across the country that real estate is down as of 2023, that prices may have come down a little bit as interest rates have really gone up. And that may be true for some parts of the country. But in the state of South Carolina, we have actually seen a different story than what you may typically expect. Now, one of the reasons that is because many of the different markets in the state of South Carolina exist in high growth markets. Per US News World and Report, in 2023 going into 2024, some of the fastest growing cities in the country are located in South Carolina. Number 1 in the country is actually Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Number 12 is Spartanburg, South Carolina. And number 23 is Greenville. As a result, when South Carolina has 3 of the top 23 fastest growing markets in the country, you see a lot of growth, even to home prices, despite the fact that interest rates have been up and overall transactions in the real estate market have been down. The even more staggering statistic there is if you remove the Florida cities from that list on US News World and Report, then South Carolina ends up having 3 of the top 13 fastest growing cities in the country. So South Carolina is one of those states that is growing at a very rapid pace, not quite at the level of a Florida, but very closely behind it. So as we look at some of these numbers, it is important to keep that at top of mind that South Carolina is experiencing a lot of growth. So some of the trends that you may be seeing in other areas of the country may not apply to the state of South Carolina. Now, let's get into some of these different markets in the state and what they're experiencing. Now, for this data set, we're actually pulling from Redfin, which Redfin tends to have pretty good numbers on what different housing markets look like. So that's what we're going to kind of use to walk through this. Also, with these different data subsets, we're going to be looking at the metro areas of Greenville, Columbia, and Charleston, being that they are the 3 largest metro areas in the state. So in Greenville, South Carolina, we have a median home price in the metro area of $435,000 as of last month. And that is actually a 17% increase year over year. Now, a lot of people may be thinking, wait, interest rates have been up. Interest rates have been fluttering between 7-8%. Like, how are home prices still up 17% year over year? And that's where it's important to think about the growth rate that this area is experiencing has led to a lot of growth in home values, despite some of the general narrative in real estate. The next point of emphasis in the Greenville market is that the average days on market for homes is actually down a little bit. So year over year, we were experiencing about 50 days on market a year ago. Now we're looking at about 43 days on market, which may be surprising to a lot of people. You may think that homes are actually sitting longer, but the reason for this has actually been a decrease in inventory. If you go year over year, we've actually experienced about 25% less homes being sold in the market. It's a little bit less than that, but it's around 25% less homes that have been sold in the Greenville market over the last year. So when you have less supply, homes are going to move a little bit quicker, and they're going to move for a higher sales value. And that's where these higher interest rates have actually pushed the market up a little bit more, because people that have lower interest rates on their existing homes, they're prone not to sell their house and to rather stay put where they are, because they don't want to be trading their 2.5% or 3% interest rate for a 7.5% or 8% interest rate like what's available in today's market. Next, we have the Columbia metro area. The Columbia metro area has an average sales price right now of $262,000. Now, that is up year over year at about 9.3%. what it was a year ago, but it is by far and away, of the 3 major metro areas in South Carolina, the least expensive. So if you're looking to make a move and you want affordability as one of your high items, Columbia may be a very good place to look. That being said, Columbia also has the lowest days on market at 26 days on market before a home sells, and largely that's because of this price point and the fact that homes there are more affordable. There's a much larger buyer pool for homes in the metro area of Columbia than there is for the metro area in Greenville. Columbia, though, is still a very desirable area and one that we're seeing a ton of growth to, that is helping spearhead a lot of the growth that we see in the state overall. So even though Columbia may be a little more affordable, a little less expensive, it is more competitive when you're looking at trying to get a home in this area because of those different data sets. Now, finally, that brings me to the Charleston market, which, other than price point, is pretty comparable to the Greenville market. That being said, the average home sales price in the Charleston market has been $590,000, which, similar to Greenville, is up 13% year over year. So you see, even though with a higher price point, there's still been considerable growth there. Now, this is with a longer average days on market, with Charleston being at 46 days on market, but that is down from 49 days on market a year ago. In addition to that, Charleston's market is only down about 10% in the total transactions year over year, compared to Greenville being closer to 25% less transactions. And the fact that there has been such a reduction in transactions in Greenville may be why the Greenville homes have appreciated at a slightly higher rate than they have in Charleston, being that Charleston has not seen quite the same slowdown as the other metro markets. Now, even though I've mentioned it earlier in the video, I think it is important to have a little bit more of a conversation around interest rates. Currently, we're seeing interest rates that are in the mid to high 7s. Over the last few months, they've actually peaked into the 8s, and there's a lot of speculation about what's going to happen in 2024. Now, as you can see, even with that increase in interest rates, the prices in South Carolina have still continued to push up. While every market is going to be a little different, it is pretty commonplace across the state to have seen appreciation in home values despite the interest rates being as high as they have been. So if we start to see a reduction in interest rates, we should expect to see some of those sellers that have sat on the sidelines because they didn't want to trade a 3% rate for a 7.5% rate, they may jump back into the market if they only have to see an increase into, let's say, the 5s. Now, I don't know if rates are going to go down to the 5s over the course of 2024, but the Fed has issued guidance that they do plan to lower rates in 2024 approximately 6 times. So that could lead us into a landing place that's in the mid to low 6s, which we think would push a lot of more buyers into the market, as well as a few sellers, or a few more sellers than we have seen recently, jumping back into the market to sell their homes and to maybe upsize or downsize, just move into a different home. With that being said, we can anticipate that appreciation may even increase a little bit more in the event that a lot of these buyers do rush to the market with a lower rate. So if you're on the fence, our guidance to you would be, hey, you may not want to be on the fence if you can afford a home at today's interest rates. It may be a good idea to go ahead and put your hat in the ring, try and get yourself a home today before these interest rates start to come down and those prices start to push back up. Because even though the rest of the country may have a little bit different of a story to tell, in the state of South Carolina, we have still seen appreciation despite higher interest rates. So we can assume that when those rates begin to come down, we're going to continue to grow in our home values. Now, that's just what the data is showing us. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the future is going to look like. So you don't want to make decisions purely based on that, but you do want to look at your own finances and what you can afford and make the right decision for you. That being said, us here at the Living in SC team at Real Broker would again love to be a resource for you and help you with that sort of decision. So you can shoot us an email at info@livinginsc.com or shoot us a text at the number listed below. Also, please check out some of our other videos. Hit that subscribe button so you can be notified whenever we do release a new video, which we try to do on about a weekly basis. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Living in South Carolina.